Thanks for joining us. This is Omni View, episode 46, Balanced News Perspectives. Today is May 10th, 2026. We'll cover what happened, how different viewpoints frame it, so you can decide for yourself. Iran's Revolutionary Guards have threatened U.S. sites in the Middle East if its tankers face attack, as Washington awaits Tehran or pro's peace deal. Iranian state media reported that the Revolutionary Guards warned of strikes on American targets in the region if Iranian tankers or commercial vessels come under fire. The statement follows recent U.S. actions against Iranian vessels in the Gulf of Oman and comes while Washington awaits a formal response to its latest peace proposal. Officials in Tehran framed the warning as a direct response to perceived threats against Iranian shipping. Outlets including The Guardian and France 24 present the Guards' statement as part of an ongoing cycle of maritime tensions, noting that both sides have exchanged warnings about vessel security without confirming new strikes. Iranian reporting emphasizes defensive protection of commercial routes, while Western coverage highlights risks to regional stability and the fragility of any emerging diplomatic channel. Both sides agree that tanker incidents have occurred. They differ on whether the Guards' language signals preparation for escalation or routine deterrence signaling during talks. What specific incidents involving tankers are confirmed by multiple independent sources? Now, to really understand this story, there's something most coverage leaves out. Most reports treat public warnings from state-linked forces as straightforward declarations of imminent action. In practice, such statements often serve as calibrated messages within ongoing negotiations, where the goal is to influence the other side's calculations without crossing into direct confrontation. Revolutionary Guard announcements follow a pattern seen in other nations' military or security institutions. They establish red lines, test resolve, and create space for back-channel talks. Knowing this, when you hear claims of inevitable escalation, you can evaluate whether the language matches historical precedents for posturing versus actual mobilization indicators such as troop movements or asset repositioning. Next time you see a headline about a security force threat, ask who is the intended audience, what leverage the statement aims to preserve, and what verifiable actions accompany the words. Shifting now to events in Europe, the Czech League match between Slavia Prague and Sparta Prague was halted in stoppage time when hundreds of home supporters stormed the field while Slavia led 3-2 and were close to securing the title. Fans breached barriers, carried flares, and threw pyrotechnics toward the away section, forcing players from both teams to leave the pitch. Slavia's chairman called the incident a disgrace, and the visiting goalkeeper announced plans to pursue legal action. The Guardian frames the event as a failure of stadium security at a high-stakes title-deciding match, stressing the danger to players and officials. Club statements from Slavia focus on condemning the small group responsible while defending the majority of fans, whereas Sparta representatives highlight the threat to their players. Both clubs agree the match cannot continue under current conditions. They differ on assigning primary responsibility between security arrangements and supporter behavior. What measures were in place to prevent pitch invasions at this venue? Meanwhile, a large public event is planned in Britain. Organizers invited political leaders to a central London rally described as a million-mensch march to stand against anti-Semitism, backed by more than 30 Jewish groups. Prime Minister Keir Starmer is considering attendance. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch is expected to speak, and Liberal Democrat leader Ed Davey has also been invited. An open letter has criticized the inclusion of Nigel Farage, warning of associations with inflammatory rhetoric. The Guardian reports the event as an effort by British Jews to mobilize broad public support while navigating political divisions over who should appear on stage. Jewish organizations stress the need for cross-party unity against rising incidents, whereas critics of Faraj's invitation argue it risks diluting the message. All invited parties agree anti-Semitism requires public condemnation. They differ on whether certain political figures strengthen or undermine that consensus. What recent incidents have prompted this scale of public response? Next, we turn to developments in Africa. Armed groups launched coordinated assaults on villages in central Mali, killing dozens according to local and security sources. One official stated the recent wave has pushed the death toll above 70 in recent days, as Islamist fighters target multiple communities. The attacks reflect an intensification of activity by armed groups in the region. France 24 presents the violence as part of a broader pattern of expanding insurgent control in central Mali, drawing on local accounts of repeated village raids. Security sources emphasize the challenge of protecting dispersed rural populations, while community leaders call for increased external support. Both local officials and international observers agree casualties are rising. They differ on the most effective mix of military and development responses. Which specific villages have been affected in the latest wave? In related regional news, French President Emmanuel Macron started a tour of East African nations aimed at strengthening economic and security partnerships. The visit seeks to counter growing anti-French sentiment while exploring new cooperation models after years of strained relations in parts of the continent. Paris has signaled willingness to adapt its approach to local priorities. Al Jazeera describes the tour as an attempt by France to reposition itself amid shifting African alliances and reduced military footprints. African governments involved have welcomed dialogue on trade but remain cautious about security arrangements. Both French officials and regional partners agree past cooperation needs updating. They differ on the pace and depth of any new framework. Which countries are included in the current itinerary? Before we go, watch for the final round of the Truist Championship and any updates on the BAFTA TV Awards protocols. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.